All right, we are making significant progress. And if we come back to our data model, we've implemented the course, the categories, and the next thing we want to do is the sections, which are the things that make up the curriculum of the course. Okay, so if you go back to our udemy.com here, which is what we are trying to mimic, you can see that under curriculum, we have sections, and these sections contain the lessons or the lectures. And these sections are also sortable or draggable, so you can reorder them in any way that you want, and it maintains the contents in terms of the lectures. So we are going to start here by quickly setting up the models for creating and managing sections, and then we'll proceed from there. So let's start here as we've done before by creating the models, the controllers, the migrations, and the data and actions that we need to use to create and manage sections. So PHP artisan, make model, and we'll call it section. We want to generate with a migration. Let's start with the migration, because again, that tells us what fields we need to include in our model. Each section will have a title. Actually, let's start with the foreign key because each section belongs to a course. So foreign ID, which is the course ID, constraint on the course, and again, we want to cascade on delete. So if we delete a course, we want to delete all the related sections. Then we want to have a title for each section, and we want to have a sort order, which is very important because we are going to be using that to sort our section. And we'll just default it to 0. So if you create a section, initially the sort order will be 0. Okay. Now that's all we need in the migration for a section. Let's go to the section model and see what we need to put in there. The first thing we need to do here is just do protected field label to prevent mass assignment errors and provide the fields that we want to be fillable. So the course ID, the title, and the sort order. Then what are the relationships we need in the section? For now, we need the course. So public function course return this belongs to course class. Okay. Of course, if you feel like it, you can expand on this and add descriptions to the sections all you want, but I think I'll just leave it light. Over in the course model as well, we need to provide the relationship to the sections. So here I'll just say public function sections, and here we'll return this has many section class. Okay, so each course will have one or many sections. With that done, we need to create a controller, the action classes, and everything that we require to start creating our sections. So let's make a controller to start with. PHP artisan, make controller. That will be in the instructor folder, and we'll call this instructor section controller. So PHP artisan, make data. And because the section model is really minimal, it only contains a few fields, we can use the same data for both creating and updating the section. We don't need to create multiple data objects for that. So make data, and I'll just call it section course section data. Okay. So PHP artisan, make action, and I'm going to store that under section. And I'll call the first one store section action. We need a second one to update the section. And we need another one to delete a section. Later on, we'll be creating more actions to change the sort order, so to implement the kind of drag and drop that you see on Udemy here. we'll be implementing that later on. But for now, let's just do the basic CRUD information for our sections. Now, over in instructor section controller, we can start filling in the information for creating and updating sections. So let's start with public functions store, and that will take the course section data that we created. We haven't filled in it yet, but we're going to do that. And it also takes the course that we are creating the section for. So those are the two things that we'll receive in our controller method. We want another one for updating the section, and that will take the course section data as well. It will take the course, and it will take the section that we are updating. Then let's create one to delete. So public function destroy, and that method will take the course as a route parameter and the section that we want to destroy. So over in the API routes, again, we are in the instructor middleware group. So everything starts with instructor, and I'm going to create a new section here for course sections. So in the course section, I'm going to create another controller group. So route controller, and that's called instructor section controller, where we are going to put all the methods for the section. And the first one we want to use here, or to have in here, is a post method to create the section. So that's going to be the course. We receive the course as a route parameter, and then the sections. And we are going to point that to the store method. We need another one, which is a put request. It's exactly the same, except it also includes the section that we want to update. And that is going to point to the update action in the controller. And finally, we need a delete, which also will take the course, the section we want to delete, and it will point to the destroy method. So again, we are going to add another for handling the drag and drop functionality, but that will come in later on. In here, let's quickly fill in the course or the section data field. And the only thing that we want to pass through is going to be the title. So public string title. And here we just need to say title is required. It should be a string with a max of 100 characters. And that's all we need to do in the course section data. So back in the controller, we can call the actions to perform the create, update, and delete methods. So section equals store section action run is going to take the data and the course that we want to create the section for. So let's go to this action, which takes the course section data and it takes the course. And now when we create a course section, what we need to do is check to know what the maximum sort order for our sections is for that course, because we need to increment that sort order by 1 for the new section that is coming in and basically place it at the end. So here I'm just going to say max sort equals course sections max of the sort field. Okay. So this will return the maximum value of the sort orders for the course sections. And when we create our course section here, which will just be course sections create, the title will simply be the data that we are passing through. So data title, and the sort order will be the new max sort order plus 1. Okay, so by default the sort order is 0 when we create a section. When we create a new one, we are going to search for the maximum sort order for all the sections for that course and just increment it by 1 to get a sort order for the current record. And that's all we need to do here. So that returns a section, which means that we can create a resource for sections and return the created section back to the front end. So let's just make a resource of PHP artisan, make resource, section resource. And in here, we can just return section resource, make section. So over in section resource, let's quickly flesh this out a little bit before we test the endpoint. We need the ID, and the ID will be this hash ID, just like we do for every other model. We need the title, this title. I need a reference to the course that it's related to. So this course hash ID, and I need the sort order. And this will be this sort order. We will be adding some eager loading here when we start creating lectures to also append the lectures to the section when we need them. But for now, that should be okay. Let's quickly go to the front end and test this endpoint. I can just copy this course, and we have course curriculum. Under that, we have sections, and we have create section, which takes the ID of the course that we want to create a section for, and that's the endpoint. So let's just say this is a new section, and we call this section introduction. Okay, so we send that request through, and of course we haven't run our migrations, so nothing is going to happen. So let's do PHP artisan migrate to create that sections table, and over in Postman again, let's run that, and we have our new section created. The sort order is 1, which is exactly what we need.